Hello YouTube, and welcome to Screen Penalties. I'm Guy Boisterous.
And I'm the Flopper.
And we're excited to share a bit of a passion project of ours with all of you out there who are interested. Interested in what, you ask? Well, as former athletes
And a current coach.
we love sports. And for as long as we can remember, we've loved film and television. So we're naturally fans of sports films and shows. Well, more like we wish we were. We're actually real sticklers when it comes to sports movies, and there's a very short list of sports films and shows that we've genuinely loved. And a pretty short list of ones we can even tolerate. It's a real problem, and quite frankly, we're here because apparently more people don't share this problem. So yes, this space is being created specifically to critique sports in film and television. We're not here to necessarily judge these pieces of media as a whole. Our goal is only critiquing the depictions of a given sport in a respective sports film or show. It wouldn't be fair to critique the full body of a film solely on one aspect. As Tim Grierson and Will Leach recently pointed out in their recent article in Vulture, titled The 50 Best Sports Movies of All Time, it is strange that sports movies are considered a genre, since all told, they really are just a setting. Excellent point, gentlemen. That said, what brings us here and what has provided us with what we currently gauge as potentially endless content is the fact that we mean deeply struggle to overlook sports misrepresentations because they're so terribly distracting. We quite literally can't hear, comprehend, and or appreciate most of whatever else is going on in a film or show if the sport being depicted is off the mark. And we get it. I'm already anticipating viewers remarking, "It's just a movie, man. It's not real life. There are errors in every film of different professions, lifestyles, settings, etc." We know, but we feel like there are folks trying a lot harder to get most of those things right. YouTubing's not our career.
That's right. I mean, I'm a teacher, and I must admit, there aren't many films that totally miss when they're portraying a classroom scene.
Exactly, Flop. And if a 50-plus-year-old Keanu Reeves has to go through months of fight choreography and arms training, then the same should be done about athletic reenactment. There are very pronounced errors that too many people seem to miss riddled all over the place in sports films, and really, very seriously, our primary goal of creating this content is for someone with some sway in the industry to view this channel and go, we can do better. For too long, people have gotten paid to be sports consultants without effectively executing their sole purpose of being on set, or the directors and or producers are not listening to them. Maybe the truth is somewhere in the middle. Honestly, we don't know enough about the industry to pretend that we know for sure. But let's dive into what brought us here. What you got, Flop?
Well, thank you, Guy. The family and I have made do through these strange times. I've kept my feet planted, chest up, ready to draw a charge at any moment. So, what brought me here, you ask? Well, a television series and COVID-19 has given me a lot more free time. This series was recommended to me by countless students and athletes. Yes, that's right. Kids who are very good at real sports recommended it to me. I watched the first 3.5 minutes of the show and was immediately bothered to the point of turning it off. Yes, even with the countless hours of free time, courtesy of the plague at my disposal, I straight up turned it off and started playing Dig Dug. Yep, that one from the 80s. It got me that upset. Then I saw a tweet capturing 9 seconds of what simply happens way too often when sports are depicted on television. An obviously poor portrayal of something in sports that could have easily been fixed. And of course, by now you're wondering, what show? Well, none other than the highly successful and critically acclaimed hit, All American. This show has a 96% rating on RottenTomatoes.com, so it obviously has its moments and is delivering content to an audience who is devouring it. So I'm not hating on All American, I'm simply expanding on what @PhilWasHere_ and the 2.6 million people who viewed his tweet noticed. The portrayal of football in All American leaves too much to be desired. Let's start with these 9 seconds. After all, this clip is basically the genesis of this entire channel, so let me give it the time and respect it deserves.
Of our bubble.
Okay, I'm going to sound like a hypocritical ass, but I can't help it. It's why I'm here. I have to get this mess off my chest. I don't know where to start. So much to break down. His shoes. Why is he wearing Vans on grass? All-Americans don't do that. Scout team players don't do that. Poor kids don't do that. Poor kids from the hood don't do that. Suburban kids who may be richer than they think don't do that. Filthy rich kids who believe they're poor don't do that. Skateboarders, they don't do that. Nobody outside the kids in second period gym class play football in Vans. His get-off and running form look like, he just doesn't play sports. Clearly his favorite sport is Fortnite. Let me remind everyone, I'm not mad at this actor. In fact, I'm proud of him and salute him for his courage and bravery to run routes in Vans and catch a flying object out the air for the first time in his life. But the consultants, directors, casting team, you are really messing with me. He ran for 8 yards and I think, he's not even a bad football player. He just literally doesn't do things that involve running. All right, here comes the rising action. His breakdown. Bear with me as I nerd out on football here for a moment. In actual football, at the top of this route, a mere hitch, a receiver is going to attempt to stop on a dime and come back to the ball by sinking his hips and chopping his feet while rapidly moving his arms. We call it hammering down. The receiver's chin needs to remain over his toes to help him balance as he violently throttles down to return to the ball while it's in flight. He can't just plant and stand there or the ball is going for 6 the other way. After catching, he should naturally turn around and burst upfield. Even if he's just practicing with his buddy. Of course, that's if he really plays football. Catching and staring at the ball is super awkward. My apologies, I kind of bled into the climax there, so let's rewind back to his ball skills. The throw is over his head, but he somehow sandwiches the ball with his hands pointing toward the tip and his thumb on top of the ball. So weird and so unnatural. Yes, he did his job. He caught the ball, but he couldn't look less like a football player, let alone an All-American wideout. At this point, I wouldn't have been surprised if he curtsied and then rolled the ball back to his buddy. But look, this was all avoidable. And I'm not just here to dump on actors attempting things wildly outside their expertise. Although his QB did find his abilities pretty hilarious. I'm here to provide suggestions. My suggestions obviously come with a caveat that I've written, directed, and consulted in nothing. First suggestion, cast a football player who wants to act or already aspires to act. I'm pretty sure there are thousands out there. Second suggestion, this is for those who would argue that you can't sacrifice acting chops for the integrity of a sports scene here or there. Don't shoot a football scene with this kid until he's better at football. Teach him to play better than that. Coach him up. Third suggestion, use edits and stunts. There are 4 cuts in this 9-second slow motion clip, so the editor is obviously getting paid. He ain't out there just helping his buddy make a show for free. Hire a stunt double. Any actual college or respectable high school football player would jump at the opportunity to run a route full speed with halfway decent technique. Film it from angles that hide the stunt double's identity, like they do in every sports movie with stunt doubles, and then cut to the actor looking the ball in, catching it with proper technique, and corralling it into his body. That is all. Mr. Boisterous, please take us away.
Great assessment there, Flop. Well, there you have it, people. You now know why this one singular scene alone was the impetus for starting this channel. Maybe you're like us and agree that this is always ridiculous and that it takes away from the finished product. Or maybe you still find it silly, yet not detracting enough from the overall experience to give up watching. Regardless, we thank you for watching and would love to hear more from you in the comments section on what you'd like to see in future installments. Be sure to like and subscribe, and with warm regards from Flop and I, don't get penalized.